Hello, welcome, and thank you for visiting the Open Leadership channel. My name is Michael Breeze, and on this video, I'm going to talk about the importance of growing your team as part of your overall leadership purpose. Now, I hope you find this video useful, and do stay until the end to see how you can access further free resources. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, it would be massively helpful to me if you could. It makes it much easier for me to carry on producing free content for the people that need it and want it if you subscribe. So, hopefully you've already watched the first 3 videos in this mini-series about leadership purpose. The first video about the overall purpose of leadership, and the second one then on connecting your team was the first element of that purpose, and then the third one on engaging your team, which is the second element of the overall purpose. Now I really recommend that you watch these as well, as together with this one today, they offer a compelling argument for a strong leadership purpose. Now, for you as a leader, adopting the open leadership approach, once your team has those early connections that we talked about in the last video of the big why, the corporate strategic why, and where the business and the organization is headed, the connection to their leader as a person, and to each other as a team and their task as a team. So once those basic connections are in place and starting to function, and you've got the team engaged in the planning and delivery of the work that will pursue the goals, the focus can and must shift to developing and growing your team. Now, the continuing education and development of your people should be a primary focus for all leaders in reality. There are obvious benefits to the organization itself of having ever more capable people, more skilled, more knowledgeable people pursuing the corporate intent that we've just talked about, delighting the customers, solving problems, and generally creating value in the business. But also, of course, good team members, good people in your organization expect and demand personal development as part of their employment package. And if your organization and you don't offer that, they'll find it elsewhere. So let's start by considering how most organizations develop their people. Now, this generally falls into 3 simple categories. First category is the formal training that the organisation delivers or arranges to be delivered. So that might be, classroom training programs that the business has designed and built for themselves and delivers regularly. It may be online or computer-based training programs that they've built and developed, or it may be external courses and programs that they pay for their people to pursue. Secondly, then, the second category is the sort of incidental or ad hoc learning that comes from doing the job, that sort of learning by doing part of any individual's learning process at work. And then thirdly, coaching and mentoring as an organised approach or a programme. Now this tends to be for senior or fast-track people or people of high potential. If it exists at all in organisations, that tends to be where it's focused. Now, as a new leader, you may have very little or no influence, certainly little control over what formal training is available to your people. You don't get to decide what programs are purchased or developed in the organisation. Now, that said, there are some ways in which you can maximise how much your teams can benefit from this formal organised training in your organisation. Firstly, it's critical, I think, to find out just what training is available. This is so often missed, but make sure you know just what's available, what is in the curriculum, what could you put your people into, and how much of it are you allowed to have, what's your budget. Figure that out and find ways to maximise what you're allowed to do to develop and train your people. And then discuss this with your team and figure out how to squeeze the maximum impact for your team out of the in effect free training that's available in your business and your organisation. Now, this is an enormously powerful way. It's one of the early opportunities you'll get as a leader to demonstrate your role as the champion of your people, looking after their growth, their development, their personal education, acting as their support, as their servant in arranging for this thing is a powerful first step in an open leadership approach. Secondly, then, once you've understood that and talked to people, schedule that time. Protect your people from the pressures that can make attendance difficult in a busy work team. It's so easy to, in one conversation, believe that the training is really important and worthwhile and arrange it, and then have the day-to-day pressures of work knock you off that track and want to pull them out of the training or schedule work. Make sure you know the impact and you protect your people so they get that training. Don't make training the victim of unforeseen pressures. That's a a major negative in terms of how your people will perceive your leadership role. Thirdly, then, once they've been on their training, you've scheduled it, you've protected it, they've attended the training, then learn from their learning. By which I mean, after your people attend the training courses and events, it's worth sitting down with them and hearing how it went, hearing what they learned, what they think was good about the program, the training, and what not so good. Getting them to determine how they can best apply their learning in their workplace and extract the best possible benefit from the training. It's incredibly powerful to do what often gets called just-in-time learning, which is that opportunity to, when you've learned, apply it quickly so it anchors in their mind, so that learning is genuinely embedded in the way they think about their job by practicing that new skill or knowledge as early as possible. But also perhaps ask them to share anything with the team or with individuals in the team that might benefit them as well. Think about how you can take what they've learned and share it elsewhere. So organizations do generally invest money and time and effort into this formal organized training. So getting the best out of it for your people when it's been set up, and exploiting that investment from your company and getting the best out of the investment is a powerful part of your role as a leader. That said, when you move on from the first category of training, that formal organized training we've just discussed, most organizations leave the second category, the one that goes on all day whilst you're at work, and there's endless opportunities for learning. They leave that to chance and serendipity in the main. And so this is one massive area that a good open leader can have massive impact, regardless of their organization's training budgets and training quality. People's learning can be massively accelerated and targeted if leaders are proactive at growing their teams. So when a team has planned its own work and it's executing that work, the opportunities for learning are almost endless. So if a planned action didn't happen quite to the timelines or in the way you expected, what can we learn from that? Why did it go wrong? Where did it go wrong? What can we do next time that would prevent that going wrong? When completed work that does get delivered on time doesn't deliver the expected results, understand why. What happened? What did we think was going to happen, and why didn't it? And what would we learn for next time again? When unforeseen risks derail a project, when customers complain, complaints should be a massive opportunity to learn. So many organizations hide from complaints or try and absolve themselves from it. Dig them out, understand them. Why has it gone wrong? What does the customer really want? What did they expect? Why didn't this happen? When team members leave the organization suddenly or unexpectedly, what can we learn from that? How can we make sure that the people we want to retain in the business stay with us? Why did they go wrong? Why did they leave? When accidents happen, obviously, whenever an accident happens, massive opportunity to unpack the detail and understand what happened and do the learning from that. Or when conflicts blow up between team members, so many things, unexpected negative things that happen in the business or your organization are an opportunity to learn that it would be a crime to not take the learning from, because these things will happen again. They will repeat themselves if we don't learn. But on the other side of that coin, also, when things go well or unexpected benefits arise in your organization, if an effort delivers faster or to a higher degree than planned, if an individual seems to be producing magic somewhere, understand why, capture that. Why is this going so well? What happened this time that we could repeat next time? What does this person know or skill did they have that we could spread elsewhere and share throughout the business? Do the learning from the positives as well. Basically, whenever work or life happens, there are learning opportunities, and a good leader looks for the learning always. Now, some of the learning tools that are available to all leaders that aren't always exploited as well as they should. As good leaders should be focusing on growth and development of their people and look for those opportunities to intervene and help their people to take that learning. The in-work situation, not the formal training, the in-work situation, the tools include giving feedback, praising people when they've done well, or observing opportunities for improvement where they've struggled or made mistakes. Always look for the opportunity to give feedback. Try and create that culture where feedback's okay, open, honest, supportive, constructive feedback is the way that you model your leadership. Obviously, there's teaching. You can just teach people if they're struggling with a system or a simple process. Either teach them or arrange for someone to teach them the basics. Look for where people are struggling, where teaching might help. And of course, there's the more advanced skill of coaching. You can provide the coaching that is often reserved, as I said earlier, for senior or fast track people. You can provide that to your people if you learn the skills and how to do this. Now, this is a subject and a skill in its own right, and I'll be producing videos on this in more detail. It's a bit of a specialism for me and a key subject for me. It is one of the most powerful skills that a leader can learn and master in the organization. So as I say, there will be more video on coaching in a later video. Now, before we finish on the grow element of the leadership purpose, this third of the elements in this mini series, I want to introduce you to a mental model that is the basis of building a learning culture in your team and in your organization and in your life, actually. Now, you'll see this model recurring in other tools and methods as I release further videos in this series. So that you can see how to apply the model practically and embed it into your way of working with your teams. Keeping this model in mind at the forefront of your mind will help you to establish a culture of learning and continuous improvement in everything that your team does. So it is a critical foundational mental model to grasp. And it will bring benefits that might astound you in your team. Now, the model I'm talking about, I call the growth engine, or the learn, plan, act cycle. You may have seen other versions, you may bump into other versions later on called plan, do, review, and similar things like that. In my version of it, I start with learning before you plan or act. And the cycle is just about that process, how you make things happen to ever greater effect, ever more efficiency, ever more effectiveness in your organization or in your life, in fact. And for me, it starts with learning. If you're about to plan some event, some activity, something that needs planning, the first thing for me is that you learn. You learn about whatever, what do we need to know before we do this plan? Who's done this before and how can they help us? Who's going to be affected by our plan and how can we make sure we've got them considered? So do the learning, the reading, the understanding, the research before you plan any activity or event. And then you do the planning, after which, of course, you then act and implement it. And then you go back to learning, critically back to learning. How did it go? What went wrong? What went well? And harping back to those earlier comments I was making, learn from the positives and the negatives, but capture that learning, capture it, and make sure you can use it again for the next cycle. And that's why this is a continuous cycle of development. Now, I'll produce another video providing a fuller picture of this growth engine, how to use it, and its place at the center of creating a culture of continuous growth and improvement in your teams. If you've bought my book and you're using my book as you watch these videos, my book, Stepping Up, How to Be Great in Your First or Next Leadership Role, that book actually has a whole chapter dedicated to this growth engine, and that's chapter 4 in that book. So at the end of this final video in the Leadership Purpose series, let's summarize the picture of the whole series. Firstly, our high-level purpose as leaders can be summed up as to help our teams succeed whilst developing them as individuals and teams. And the 3 key elements to focus on in order to turn that purpose into action and focus areas are firstly to connect our people to the organization, the big why, its goals, its vision, its strategy. Why? What's it here for? What's it trying to achieve? Connect your team to you as a leader and you to them. Connect them to one another and their task. The team connects to itself and what its task is and where its focus should be. Connect it to its stakeholders, its customers obviously, as well as its suppliers. Make sure they understand them and the connections are strong. And finally, connect them to whatever resources and collaborators they might be able to turn to for help when they're doing their work. And then the second key element in leadership purpose is to engage your people. Involve them in the decisions, the plans, the problem solving that might ordinarily be considered the leadership role. Get them involved in that, share that engagement and ownership. And then after that, mobilize them into action with clear action plans, clear deadlines, personal ownership and responsibilities. So that's the second element, engage your people. And then last of all, of course, the element we've been talking about today, which is to grow your team, the third element of leadership purpose, by extracting, first of all, the best possible benefit from the organization's training function, the training budget, what's available within your organization of formally arranged training. Secondly, as the leader, spotting the learning opportunities for your people in their daily work, giving feedback, coaching, teaching them, taking the opportunity of observing them in work to enhance and accelerate their learning. And lastly, by establishing that learn, plan, act, the growth engine as a way of working with your team so that it becomes a part of the culture and the behavior of the team. Now, There has been a lot of content in this mini-series on leadership purpose, and you've probably got many questions about how to do these things. I've tried in each video to give you at least a starter of where you might go to start things, but in upcoming videos I'll provide you with a lot more of the detail of the tools, the knowledge and the skills of how to actually do these things well. And as ever, if you are impatient for an overview, you can always buy my book, Stepping Up: How to Be Great in Your First or Next Leadership Role. The link's in the description. But so if that is a route you want to follow, by all means do. But I just want to stress again that I will be giving away all of the content in that book as I carry on producing videos and posting them on this channel. So that's all for this video and this mini series on leadership purpose. I hope you found it useful. Do let me know your thoughts and comments down below. That'll be lovely to hear from you. Please also remember, if you are happy to subscribe, it would help me enormously to carry on producing free content for those that need it or want it. And do hit that reminder bell to make sure you receive notifications when the new content drops in each week. As promised, the way that you can get access to more free resources at the openleadershipbase.com. That's the openleadershipbase.com. That would include excerpts from my book. You can also join the Open Leadership Base forum there and get involved in conversations with me and other leaders. Share your experiences, ask questions, and let me know your thoughts about the content you'd like to see on this channel or there at the website. So it just remains for me to thank you for visiting the Open Leadership channel once again, and I hope to see you next time.